Hi there. Retool launched today their AI Assist, which is another powerful functionality that Retool is adding to their AI suite of functionality. This will allow users to ask the AI called Assist to build applications. And it's super powerful because this AI is able to actually use all of the resources that you have set up on Retool, your databases, your endpoints, all of the workflows that you have there. It knows them and it knows how to use them. So I was given early access by Retool to test this. And now I'm making this video to show a very simple but quite interesting project I did using Assist AI and maybe sharing some of the limitations that Assist currently has, some of the feedback that the Retool team gave, and I hope you enjoy it and it gives you some ideas for you to how to use it. Okay, so this is what I built, a recipe knowledge base. And what I wanted to learn how to do is how to use embeddings and semantic search. So you can see here my semantic search section, a recipe databases with all of the recipes, and then a section to add new recipes with AI, and then the semantic search results. So here, if you see, I can search for salads, or actually I will do something tomato. The semantic search will actually find any recipe that has tomato in it or something related. And here in this space, I can actually say how to cook a lemon pie and then generate with AI. And it will actually put the recipe name, the description, the ingredients, and the instructions. There you go. And then when I click on add recipe, it will add it to the database, but it will also hit the OpenAI endpoint to create embeddings for it and store those embeddings within it. So you can see here I have lemon, and this includes eggs as well. So if I just type eggs and then search for the recipes, you will see that I'll be getting also lemon pie here. So this is what I wanted to build and learn how to build using Retool's Assist. All right, so let me show you how that process looks like. So here on the top, on the bottom corner, you can see Assist. This is in beta, is the classic chat interface that we're very used to deal with LLMs, where you can actually have a conversation. So I'm just going to go to the history and go to this first one that I have. So I just typed in, hey, I want to learn more about using embeddings and Postgres PG vector column. I started with an app, but it got messy. Can you come up with a cool example? What I want to do is generate embeddings using OpenAI, insert records, including a PG vector column, and make semantic search of those records. And it just went and did its job. I know that, or I'm pretty sure that Retool is using Anthropic in the backend for their assist, but it's very robust. I really like. So you can see it goes and analyzes and see what is needed. It checks the database, and you can see here I have within this account set up a Supabase resource, which is Postgres. So it went there and said, I found this, and I stopped there right on the spot, and I said, please use Retool database. In fact, when I'm typing here, whenever you write at, you can actually refer to any of your either resources. I have OpenAI, I have a Plotly API, I have my Supabase, I have a stack crawler, a Zero, and so on. So I can actually refer to any of these resources and tell it to do something. So that's what I actually did here. I say, don't use my Supabase, use the Retool database instead. And it just continues. And I can see some tables. Let me create a recipes table. So it created a basic recipe tables, and it actually just created them. It added the recipes table to my Retool database. And the same thing for the embeddings table. And then it goes for the visual design, and it creates a wireframe for itself and how to do it. And then it just goes to create an information flow and events triggers, and it starts adding components. So you can see that the app title, the sections, and it's really nice because also all of the components have relevant names added to them. And it starts kind of going through the completed step and everything that it's doing. So it did this, it actually added all the UI components. It still has kind of a note for itself. What are the things that it needs to do? Step 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So it goes to the next three, configure components, and it just did step 3 and 4. Step 3 completed. It goes and edits all of what he thinks to be doing. It called a component editing expert. You can see kind of the tools that they have given to this agent. There's an editing expert that it's calling to actually finalize step 4. And then it goes and create OpenAI embedding generation queries. So you can see it started creating the SQL queries to get the recipes, to get the embeddings as well. And then it says, now let me create the embeddings. So it goes and it creates the OpenAI. You can see post embeddings, what is the access, what's the data that's been using, and so on. So you can see it just goes on and on and on, and it's creating all of the steps that it kind of did. Wire up event handlers. So it just goes and wires up event handlers. It came back saying your database doesn't have vector plugin installed, and it was correct. So I went myself and created the embedding column and enabled that. So he said, okay, that's great. This is the proper vector column, and let me just redo the things that I needed to do, which is what step 6 and 7. So it goes and again tries to do that, changes the logic so that you can actually add the embeddings into the database and so on. I think there were some back and forths. So you can see 7 of 7. And then what else did I have to do? It seems that embedding queries are missing the body inputs. Can you review them and update them? This happened because there's a bug that I flagged to the Retool team and they worked on it. But here's another tool. The agent wants to see the page. So it kind of actually has access to all of the components and see what is what. It edits the components and then it goes again and edits the queries. So it kind of starts doing that, and then I got an error. There is no unique exclusion constraint on the conflict. It should have actually identified that itself, but it didn't. And it just went and said, all right, that's true. I need to modify that. And it kind of starts doing all of these things. Fixed on conflict error. And it actually fixed it. Then here I kind of started testing and said, I'm writing salad and getting all recipes in the before semantic. I actually realized that when it first generated all of the embeddings, it was not actually taking the values. So it created the same embeddings for everything. And that's why it was returning everything. And it was also returning everything with a score. Anyway, I kind of just start playing around with it. But you can see there's not a lot of prompts. Here's what I was saying. Is this expected? I would have expected a higher result because I wrote, what is it that I wrote? Banana bread, and it returned 89% of similarity for a banana bread recipe, which I was expecting it to be higher. So I'm kind of telling, look, this is what I'm seeing, this is what I'm expecting, and it just goes and keeps updating the application. And it just finishes here. So the generated recipe embeddings was not populated. You just give me the text and I populated it. So that was kind of my conversation with it. And as you can see, you see here the components. Let me just, and then you can see here all of the queries we ended up with. Some of the queries are part of a second conversation I had with it, but you can see here it wrote, get all the recipes, generate recipe embeddings, generate search embedding queries, semantic search query, and then the performance. This is a JavaScript that is actually taking this search text and sending it to the semantic search query. So you can see it did a lot of things. It created all of the structure, all of the wireframe, all of the queries, and then also kind of all of the event handlers for it. So I'm quite happy with this right now. I wanted to learn how embeddings work, and I think I've learned a lot by this exercise. I know how these endpoints work. I kind of also use ChatGPT to let me know what is the best way of actually adding the input to generate the embeddings, and then also how to perform semantic search. What are the different kind of operators that we can use, and how does that look like, and the vector, and so on. So For me, this has been a very good exercise of learning. And then as I was having fun, I said, well, let me just add something else. And I just added this generate with AI button. So what I did is the same thing. I opened a new conversation as you would with any other agent interface, LLM interface, which is going to be this one. And I basically instructed it I want to add a functionality in the new recipe section. So I will write a line or two and it will generate this tree and it will fill in, which is what you saw just at the beginning of this video. So again, it creates a plan, step 1, 2, 3, 4. It views the page, writes some notes, and it just goes. Step 1 is completed, examination, add AI generation components. So it kind of went on and did that, and then the queries for that. And it's perfect. The only missing is adding the logic to generate the embedding for the new recipe. It was not doing that. It was adding the recipe, it was adding the AI, but not the embedding. So I told him you need to add the embeddings to it. So it kind of went and created the recipe embedding. And I don't think I actually asked for anything else. So that was done. So it was 2 prompts. It added this functionality where I can actually just say, I have bananas, peanut butter. What recipe can I do? Can I cook? Sorry about that. It will just come up with a recipe. It's an peanut butter banana smoothie. So I have this yogurt, a tablespoon, and I can just add the recipe. And it will add the recipe and I will add the embeddings for it. So now if I just write banana, I mean, banana is quite easy, right? But what else do we have for this? It's fresh peanut butter, honey, yogurt, butter. What if I wrote butter? Let's see, there's search recipe. Let's see what results come out of that. Peanut butter, classic chocolate chip, banana bread. Yeah, all the things that actually using butter. Relevance is 87% for this one because it's actually peanut butter. So that's what I did. And that's how Assist helped me to just build everything on it. And actually, I learned some stuff because of how the embeddings it was doing and it did. So it's going to be super, super, super useful to build first kind of demos and prototypes. There's some limitations, for example, with the lintings whenever you're using additional scope. And there's a linting error, which is kind of something known in Retool. It won't understand that and it will try to fix it, which is not what you want. So that's something I noticed and it was kind of an issue. I was also getting some weird behavior when it was editing an OpenAI query. It was just changing the endpoint to a string and it was just not working. So I had to go there and manually change the endpoint and then added the forms and so on. There were some errors when it tried to load or it got overloaded and it had to run again. But in general, I think it worked really well. I'm curious to see how it works when you have a multi-page app, so different apps in there, and how I can go from one page to the other, edit them, store variables, and tables and click and all of those things. Something that I still need to test, but it's going to be very interesting to see how it performs with that. And now there's going to be an element of pricing. They haven't published their pricing page yet, but it's going to have an allowance for everyone. And after that allowance, it will kind of start charging based on usage, similarly to what they're doing with the agents. So there's going to be some charge in there as well. And I'm going to be putting the pricing link in the description box as soon as I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you enjoy building with AI Assist. I have definitely enjoyed my first experience with it. And I'm looking forward to seeing what else I can come up with.